Welcome back, our I think, most prolific and most frequent guest, the official queen of the party line.
Forgot my crown again.
Yeah, oh my gosh! But you have a beautiful necklace on. For people who are in the room, will see it. But I mean, it's very queen-like, so I think it's okay, right? I mean, not you're kind of almost above the tiara thing,
Oh,
so you're
you
like
ever be above the tiara thing?
you're way past the tiara thing. So welcome, Tanis Gray, back to the party line. It's always good to see you. It's always fun.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, and you are like, you're just, I don't know how, because I think you just don't sleep. I think that's how you have so much stuff.
I don't sleep. It's an optional thing here at our house.
Yeah, I mean, you have a small child. You produce more books than probably the next six people in line all put together. And we'll talk about all the other projects you have going on because, obviously you have to do something while the rest of the world is asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course, you'll sleep when you're dead. So what the heck? You don't need any sleep. So Wanderlust is, I mean, it's great. It's like all your, yeah, it's beautiful too.
it's
Is
a book.
that it's very much like your because you have the best knitting friends ever because they design for your books. So
Yeah,
it's
they're friends to have, that's for sure.
it's definitely good friends to have because 46 designs is a lot for one book. I mean,
Yeah, especially for the price. I mean, talk about bang for your buck. Yeah, I like books like that.
yeah, and they're not just like all little projects. They're like scarves or caps or, I mean,
Sweaters, yeah, there's quite a few sweaters in there too.
yeah, and some gorgeous sweaters, which I think now that we're on that topic of what's in the book, maybe we want to go look. What do you think? I think we
So,
should go look. I think we should go look at the book because, of course, it would be pointless and people would be disappointed if I didn't show them what was inside the book, which is so nice because you get a chance to kind of preview what's in there, especially if you're not in a place where you can actually go into a bookstore or into a yarn shop and flip the pages and take a look. It's always a kind of a crapshoot. If you're ordering a book just based on the cover or the author is it's always a little, you know, it's a 50-50 shot
well,
pretty much.
you can see it on Ravelry, but not all the images are up. And if I'm knitting a sweater, I want to see the back and I want to see the sides and is there shaping? I want to see the details, and that's not always online. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said for holding the book and checking it out.
Exactly. But for those who are in places where that's not an option, this is their like next best deal here. So
Well, look at you, which is great.
yeah,
So
just come. Yeah, and you can watch it on YouTube later if you're not here. Which some people are at work, and some people are at work but watching, but not talking. Angela,
and
I
we
love
still
that. I think that's so funny. Yeah, so that she can work and listen at the same time. So it's a women's role is to multitask. So there you go. Very good. All right, so so tell me first, like, what was the kind of thought process behind putting this collection together?
well, I wanted this one to just kind of debunk the myth that superwash yarn is only for babies. And I knit all my sweaters in superwash, and now we have, sometimes you look at hand dyeds and they're superwash and you would never guess. And so we've come a long way in superwash, and especially with a small kid and you know just life, you get messy. So it was kind of just proving that you don't have to grab the superwash when you're knitting for yourself or a baby. I mean, for anything, and it can be beautiful. And I really liked this yarn. It's all the same yarn in the book, which is nice, and just kind of things you can take with you when you travel, or bigger things like the sweater on the front. It's a nice man's sweater. There aren't a ton of those that guys actually want to wear,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
that we want to, like we were talking earlier about knitting for our husbands. You might not want to sit there and knit what they decide that they want. So yeah, just nice projects in superwash, and all different techniques. You know, I love Fair Isle, but not everyone does. So there's cabling and there's lace and there's everything in here. So
Yeah, there's a
40,
lot of different techniques. So whether you want to up your knitting mojo and try something new, or whether you just have a favorite, like I know people who just like they're so in love with cables that there's
yeah,
cables on every single thing they ever knit. So, and then there are people who are just give me stockinette where I don't have to think about it. But there's also like I knit stockinette in front of the TV because I don't have to think about it. But I love Fair Isle, which I would never dream of knitting in front of the television if I'm looking at a complicated color chart. So there's room for everything, I think, in our
yes.
yeah, in the quiver. So anyway, so now which what yarn did you use in this book?
It's Cascade Longwood. And the reason for that is it's available pretty much everywhere. So, you know, if you live in the middle of nowhere and you have one yarn shop, as opposed to, you know, there's like 5 local yarn shops around you. I live in a city, so there's quite a few around me. It's easy to get and it's worsted. And I really like worsted for shawls and lace. And a lot of people think, you know, I would never knit a shawl, a lace shawl in worsted. That just wouldn't work. And it's actually kind of fun. And, you know, bigger yarn is faster knitting. So we
Yeah,
like that.
it's nice to create more real estate quickly.
Yes.
So yeah, and worsted is pretty much like an all season
Yeah.
weight, unlike really bulky yarns. So it
And you
works
don't have to,
well.
you know, use this yarn. I've knit a number of things out of this book just pulling from my stash because I have a lot of worsted. So worsted seems like kind of having a size 8 shoe. You know, it's pretty much everyone seems to have a size 8 shoe. So you can pull from your stash too.
That's funny because that's what I wear too. But and I think half the universe wears size 8 because when you go to the store, that's always the first one sold out.
Especially in the clearance section. Yeah, you're like, oh, those are awesome. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, we don't have the eights anymore. Yeah, exactly. So let's do a preview of the book, and we were talking about the different techniques in the book, and I love how Slip Stitch creates this
Yeah.
like pattern without actually having to really
Yeah,
chart. Like you're
granted.
not reading a chart for the pattern. The Slip Stitch is actually creating it for you, which you can't complain about that.
This when this came to my house, it was one of my favorite things. It is stunning. And it's yeah, slip stitch colorwork is kind of the cousin of Fair Isle and Intarsia, and it's a lot less work. And it was just it's stunning in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, really, really pretty, and of course both sides look great. That's kind
Yeah.
of the nice thing about that kind of patterning is so because I love it because my scarves never stay that perfect tie that you see in magazines where you only see the good side.
Does
So
anybody? Unless you're like wearing double stick tape, it's not gonna happen.
no, it's not. Which is why when I do Farrell scarves, I knit them as a tube and they're double layered because I can't look at the ugly back side of my.
Like this one.
Yeah,
This one's book. Yeah, a
ex-
tube. Yeah. You
yeah,
don't
exactly. So it's a little bit warmer, but you know, hey, whatever. At least it looks good.
yeah,
So,
great.
which is the important part, right? You don't get to see, you don't see like how it's made. You just see the beauty on the outside. So this is really pretty, and I could see this even in tonal, like with cream and white, or even really, really graphic, like in a navy and cream or a black and white. I mean, it's kind of you can do anything with this kind of a design. It's going to be gorgeous,
Yeah,
really
and guys
gorgeous.
and girls, you know, if you want to, I hate to use the term man it up, but you know, navy and brown or even just go for more neutrals. It's a lot of these things are unisex. It's just kind of a color choice.
Yeah,
So I like that too. 'Cause men like knitted things as well,
they do, especially if they're soft and they don't have to hand wash them.
or they don't have to actually knit it for themselves. They
Yeah,
have
there's
someone.
that too. There's that too. But I think that's the thing about, when I learned how to knit and I was in junior high school, so we're talking like 50 years, 45 years ago, the non-wool yarns had just come out and they were the acrylics and they were so scratchy that I mean you could not put it next to your skin. It was worse than the worst wool. And I didn't knit for over 30 years. And when I came back to it, I went to the yarn store. I was stunned at the array. I mean, because there wasn't bamboo yarns, there weren't alpaca yarns, there weren't. I was just stunned at the array of textures and how soft yarn was, because that was had not been my experience in junior high school. And I
We are
think
very spoiled compared
A
to
totally different world, which is great because, then we have an excuse to continue to add to our stashes. So, but I
because
think
we need an excuse,
yeah,
obviously.
like we need an excuse. So, so Superwash has kind of followed that kind of same trend. When they first came out with the Superwash wools, they, because of how they descaled it to keep it from felting, they tended to be, rougher in the hands, and I didn't really enjoy knitting with them. And they've had that same kind of journey where they've figured
Oh,
out how to make them superwash and still be incredibly soft in your hands. And I think Cascade is one of those companies that really figured that out.
yeah,
And
they kind of pioneered, yeah, bringing in the superwash and hand dyes too.
yeah,
I'll pick up the yarn at my local yarn shop, and I wouldn't necessarily guess that it was superwash just by looking at it. So it's
yeah,
definitely a long way.
which is nice, especially if you're putting something up against your neck. You want it to be really soft. And so, yeah, and this design is getting some love. Shannon says she loves it. It's unique, which I agree. When you look at it, it's kind of like, well, how do they do that? Because it has that sort of woven look to the color, which is pretty. And Kate says it's very pretty. And I actually think somebody in my family might be getting this for Christmas this year, and it might be me.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah,
oh,
it might be me
yeah,
because I, and I have a house in the mountains now, and I don't have a scarf. It,
I think we need one.
yeah, I think I need one, and this just looks like, and that it would be fun to knit, but I'm gonna have to figure out my colors because it's gonna have to be something really special. So, all right, so this, and I love lacy shawls that have that contrast border on it. I think this is so, I don't know, like French lieutenant's woman kind of thing to it. It has that sense, of course, in where it's photographed, it helps that sort of,
Yeah,
windswept plains sort of thing to it. But this is beautiful. And this is done in worsted weight, which is, I think what you were talking about earlier about doing lace in worsted weight without having to worry really about being near your dog when you wear it. Right.
yeah, and it's not bulky. Some people might think, a worsted shawl it's going to be heavy and bulky. It really isn't. And it gives you really nice stitch definition. I mean, you can see that lace pattern
Yeah.
from quite a ways away. And I like kind of the tonal colors, and the model's gorgeous. And yeah, the setting, I'm really happy with how the book was photographed, and I was
Yeah.
very pleased with this book, how
Yeah.
it
And
came.
I think that's one of those things about the cobwebby lace is, if you drop a stitch,
Forget it.
you better hope you have lifelines in, or otherwise you're just going to be crying and starting over. And but you also have to be really careful, like people who have jewelry on or getting too close to a door jamb, or because if it tears, and it's so easy to tear because the yarn is so fine. I mean, it's going to
It's
break
tough.
your heart. It's over. So, but when you're knitting with a heavier yarn, it's a lot tougher to tear it.
Well, and also cobweb yarn is beautiful, and I personally don't want to knit with it. It just takes too long. But I want my knitting to be functional. So yes, I want it to be beautiful, but I want to wear it for warmth too. It's nice to wear things that are just pretty, but with my knitting, I want it to also have that purpose of keeping me warm. So it
Yeah.
does that.
Yes, have something that you don't just take out and show your knitter friends and say, "Look what I did," and then
Yeah,
carefully pack it back up with tissue
right.
paper.
Yeah, it's not an heirloom, it's functional. So
Yeah. Yeah, this is so pretty. Yeah, and Kate says this is a great lace pattern, which I agree. It's really pretty. So, and kind of non-scary when you do it in worsted weight as opposed to doing it in a lace weight or lace weight mohair, even worse. So, very
yeah.
pretty. Yeah.
And
So this is a great little functional piece, this capelet here.
yeah, it's almost like a cross between a cowl and a shrug. Yeah, it's nice to keep your shoulders warm, and it's hard to see, but it's got some interesting stitch patterns, just knits and purls. So it's
So it's
great.
texture without having to really think about it too much.
Yeah, and another really important thing to me is to cover, because I teach so much, to cover all skill levels. I don't want it to be all super advanced stuff. I don't want it to be all garter stitch, but I want people to be able to grow with this book too and think, well, okay, in 6 months, my goal is to knit that. Or, I'm going to knit this first, and then I think I'm ready to knit that. So I want it to kind of be almost like a knitting course in a book too.
Yeah, I like the little shoulder button because you can really change up what you use this for based on not only the color and yarn choice, but the button choice, which I'm a button addict. I have drawers and drawers and drawers of buttons that I've bought while I'm traveling.
Right.
And they're just and they're also, when I put them on something, it reminds me of that of wherever I was when I bought the buttons. So it totally changes up the look here.
Yeah,
So
you can
it was
change the buttons too. I do that a lot with like store-bought coats. If, I'm tired of the coat or, they always seem to come off anyway, you can change the buttons and completely change the look.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things on your knits as well is, you knit a cardigan and 2 or 3 years later and you're thinking, "I'm kinda tired of it." Is just change the buttons, don't get rid of the sweater, so because it completely changes up the look.
Yeah.
But I love buttons. Buttons are great. So I couldn't believe this was knit in a worsted weight
Yeah. And
yarn.
it's if you're afraid of lace, and a lot of people seem to be, they're just not, they're like on the cusp, they want to try it, they're kind of afraid. This is I think, worsted weight lace is a really good way to kind of get over that. It's definitely less scary than fingering weight. And again, it's functional and it's got a nice weight to it. And I like a big shawl. I want to wrap it around my neck. So,
Yeah, and I think the nice thing too about doing lace in a worsted weight is it's so easy to see your stitches.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it makes it so much simpler if you're following the chart or if you're lost. Where you can, and I think that's a problem that I've had when I knit, especially like the lace weight, like Kid Silkes or something, where
Yeah, it's
you have no
impossible.
clue. Once you're lost, there's kind of no coming back.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, well, you can try, but usually for me, I end up in the wrong spot and then I rip out. But I do use lifelines because I don't like to cry when I knit. So, so
Well,
it's
what's
nice. There's no crying and knitting. So, yeah. It's nice that we get this handsome man in the book as well. A little something for everybody here.
nicer looking, I think. But I love this hat, and it's another example of unisex knits. And I have this one on my needles right now. I really like it. The top is beautiful. It's almost like a creature from or it's like a flower, I don't know, or like a sea urchin thing. It's just got a beautiful top as well.
Yeah, and I love how the ribs kind of end up crossing and creating this
Yeah.
pattern, and it just
Yeah.
and the young people these days are they're wearing their hats a little baggy in the back, so
Well,
it's
I
kind of that toque shape.
Yeah, I like to shovel my hair up in there. So I like the slouchy hat. Embrace the slouchy.
Oh, that's a
She always says like, "What's with the slouchy hats?" But I like them.
yeah, and if you have like thick hair or long hair, they're awesome, especially if it was a bad hair day or you just got started late and didn't wash it this morning. So it's like just shove it up in the hat and you're good to go.
Yeah,
And
this one's cool. It's like wrapped stitches and knitting through the back loop, and it's not difficult. It's just really cool.
yeah, I agree. It's really fun. And then I love hats with bills on them. I can't wear them. That's just not. They don't look good on me, but they look good on her.
Yeah, they don't really look good on me either. But it's a nice idea, and they're kind of fun to make because you put the bill in there, and yeah,
Yeah,
something for
yeah. I love that leaf design going up the head. That's kind of another kind of a lace idea without having to actually knit lace weight yarn, which is great. Oh, and actually we have Shannon asked about the design, which I think she was talking about the one for the guy. Shannon, were you talking about this guy hat or were you talking about the girl hat? So I want to make sure your question gets answered. Oh, the
guy.
guy hat. Yeah. So she wanted to know how you came up with this design.
Well, that one's not my design. So for this book, it's actually a compilation, and there's 46 projects, and I think there's like 35 knitters in the book or so. Some people did 2 or 3 designs, and I would contact them, and some are friends, but I also tried to use a lot of new people and a lot of people who had not been published before and had great designs and had a really amazing aesthetic. And approach them, and I would ask for at least 3 sketches, and then I'd kind of pick from what they sent what I thought would work in the collection. And it's not just okay, that design's good, that design's good. I want them to all look good as a collection, as well as the colors are very thought out too. You don't want I tend to go all green, so I don't want all green. I have to, look and say, okay, I need some blue, I need some orange, I need some red. I got to stay away from that green. So a lot of techniques, a lot of different designers, and a lot of different colors to all come together to kind of make a nice collection.
So I think that answered your question. So yeah, and so then we have some really, really gorgeous. I guess can we call it handwear? Because it's not head. It's
Sure.
handwear. I think it's handwear because it encompasses mittens, mitts, gloves, and anything that goes over your fingers. I think so. We're gonna call that handwear. So there's some really pretty handwear in the book, and this one really caught my eye. I love the half texture, half stockinette thing on it, and of course the nice thing is, of course, the thumb is stockinette, so you don't have to worry about putting any texture on it, which is good. So tell us about this beautiful mitten pattern.
These are really cool. You see a lot of designs that have like the half pattern here and down, but you don't see it often going vertically like that. So it was interesting and it's textured and I live in a city. I take the metro. I walk everywhere. So I'm outside walking the dog and mittens and fingerless mitts are always in my pocket and I'm always looking for something interesting instead of another boring mitten. So these were pretty cool. They're almost like mullets, business in the front, party in the back. I don't know.
It's a mullet mitt. Yeah, so yeah, Susan says she loves these, which I agree. When I looked at them, I thought this is just really cool because you don't normally see that patterning up just one vertical half of the hand,
Yeah,
and
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 it's
then
an interesting pattern. It's
yeah,
not just ribbing. It's beautiful.
yeah, really, really, really pretty. So and then because I love cables, I love texture, and even though these are green, Tanis, there's
Some
just
green mix in. I love green, but I
yeah.
I always put too much, so I gotta rein it in.
Yeah, well, I think it just really suits this design, and of course, the styling is really perfect for it too. But this is really a beautiful use of cables that doesn't involve having to do fingers, which is which is nice. So tell us about these. They're really adorable.
Well, and again, they're unisex, and that's important, I think. And they're a pretty quick knit. Again, they're worsted. There's an interesting cable. Any color, they look totally different. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the fingerless mitts.
Yeah, I think my son would love these.
Yeah, a lot of guys
Yeah.
wear them now, especially around here. And when you ride the subway or the metro, you need your fingers free because you're always reaching in to like get your metro card out or your iPad or your iPod or whatever. So I like the fingers free.
Yeah, and he bike rides a lot, and so you need to be able to like do the brakes and
Yeah,
yeah, so you need your fingers usable. So, and the nice thing about mitts is it's you don't have to worry about whether the fingers are too long or too short, whether
yeah,
there's like
it's
you
great
don't have
fit.
those kind of sizing issues you have with mittens and
Right.
gloves. So,
Well, and you can because it's superwash, your hands get dirty. I know just from like holding the leash and
yeah.
your hands get dirty, so you can just toss them in the wash. So I like that too.
Yeah, and if you give them as a gift, then you're relatively assured they're not going to be destroyed after the first wearing, which is good.
Yes, we
Which
hope.
is really good. So, and this is beautiful, and I actually want that whatever she's that top she's wearing because I
Yeah,
really
that coat is gorgeous.
really want that. But yeah, so this is really pretty. I love the buttons on the cowl because that's another opportunity to really express yourself.
Yeah, and they're
And
on
then,
the wristers too.
yeah,
So yeah, you can bust some of your button stash knitting that. I think there's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buttons.
yeah, really, just really pretty and a gorgeous cable pat. I love that there are cables on the neck on the gaiter and that you've got a simpler sort of rib with a cable trim on it on the wristers. It's just very well thought out. That mix of textures is really really
Well, and it
pretty.
stands up. A lot of cowls you knit, you do all this work and then it like flops over.
Yeah.
And the worsted in this particular yarn, it kind of stays up, which is nice.
Yeah. It keeps you a little warmer, which is really pretty. Yeah, Shannon says these are gorgeous, and she loves that top too because it's just I don't know, it's like atomic age sort of, the aqua and brown. It's really pretty. I want that top. I gotta find that top because I really like it. So here's another set with the hat and the mitts this time, and the combination of the color and texture on this is really fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun. Picking the color is my second favorite. Picking the designs is my favorite thing. But then, getting the colors that work and looking at all the designs. And 46, there are actually 47. We had to cut one because of page count was getting too high. But they're complementary colors and they always look good. And it's an interesting stitch. You see it a lot, but you see it not usually this bright. So I liked it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to lose you on the subway if you're wearing this hat. The rest of the people in your party will find you pretty easily, I think, right? Keep you from getting lost in the crowd. Yeah, and Kate says she loves the color, which I think this is just so much fun.
Yeah,
So,
complementary colors. I just did maybe a month ago, a big blog post on color theory and then color psychology. And complementary colors always look good. So if you have a hard time picking colors, you look at that color wheel and go across, and they'll always look good.
they'll always look good together. Yeah, this is it's a lot of fun. Oh, and here's a handsome man.
Yeah, you gotta love a hot guy with a dog wearing
Yeah,
knitwear. It's like
how could you
freaking
not love that? It's a little something for everyone here. So, whether you're a dog lover or
you just love knitting.
yeah, it could be that. It could be that. This is some beautiful color work here. So tell us, and I love that it's like that mix of patterns because it's
Yeah.
just it really adds to that graphic punch to it. So tell us about this design.
Well, and I like that the ribbing is solid too. It's not too much color work. It kind of tones it down. And again, unisex, and it's a set. I like sets of things, and it doesn't mean you have to knit them both. But I like the option, especially if you're gift giving. A hat might not be enough, or wristers might not be enough. So knit up the set, and everyone likes warm hands and warm heads, I
And
think.
yeah, and depending on whether the person is on the A gift list, the B gift list,
Yeah.
the C gift list, if they're on the A gift list and you need to do two pieces for them, this sort of fixes this up. But yeah, and I mean, and I would like this hat. I actually,
And if you're
well,
outside a lot, you need
yeah,
them both.
actually,
So
I don't have a hat either. So I don't. I think it's
you got some
time,
work to do. You got some
right?
work to do.
I have some more. I think it's time to do some knitting for myself because I've been trying to get people who come to these events to knit for me, and nobody has done it. So I think I should give up. After I don't know how many years we've been doing this, I think it's time to give up and knit myself a hat and a scarf.
I think that maybe I owe you a hat. So as the reigning queen, let me know what you want. I think I can make that happen.
You're my hero. You were my hero before for teaching me two-handed virile, which changed my knitting life. But
Good.
you're like totally my hero. So we have a I love the texture on this hat. And even though I can't see the guy's face, it's still a great shot. I love the
Yeah.
texture on this hat. Tell us about this is yours, right? This is your
No,
design?
this is not mine, but I've knit this maybe 6 times at this point, for myself, and then my husband wanted one, and then my friend wanted one, and it's a great gift hat, and it's only knits and purls, decreases and increases. It's kind of like a faux cable,
Oh my
but
God.
fan of the brim kind of bleeding into the design,
Yeah.
and I love this hat. I had it on this morning. It's June and it's like 50 degrees weirdly, so I had it on at preschool drop off this morning. I love that hat.
Yes, and yeah, Susan says it's great and she loves the dog, which I love that dog is really cute too. So, yeah, and Shannon said she likes this hat. It's cuz it's the texture's great. I mean, it just
And it's not it's that something that looks easy, that looks harder than it actually is. So I love that. The
yeah.
focus.
Which is the best kind of gift where people think you're a genius, but it was something you don't have to tell them how easy it
No,
was.
they
No.
don't need to.
No, when I did plain rib socks for my sister and you know, I I didn't tell her that that was a simple project. I told her that it was like 10,000 stitches per sock or something. I didn't tell her that it
And
was
she wear them all the time.
yeah. Yeah. It's like now it's like the hardest thing in the world to knit a pair of ribbed socks. So she doesn't
Well,
knit. She doesn't know better. So this is
no.
one of those kind of fool you sort of gift projects
And
that
I think
looks,
only one ball of yarn, which is another great thing. When you're gift giving and you want to bust your stash a little bit,
yeah.
you know, grab something awesome.
Yeah, especially if you have a lot of gifts to do.
Yeah. Well,
So
and if you're going to do handmade holiday, you better start now or you're kind of screwed.
I've started. That's why. Yeah, last year I started the day after Christmas.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, because otherwise November comes along and you're not a happy girl. So, yeah, and this is beautiful. I want this sweater
That's
for
been
my.
really popular. Yeah, I like cardigans. I'm not a big pullover fan, and I like the texture. And yeah, I like 3/4 or short sleeves, which a lot of people think, a short sleeve sweater, what's the point?
Oh
But
no, perfect for layering.
yeah, and sometimes it's just your torso that's cold. So yeah, it's a perfect layering sweater.
Yeah, and multi-seasonal when you don't have the full-length sleeves and the high neck and everything else. So I also like that this is actually closed with clasps and not buttons, which means for those of us who don't really like button bands, or this is, I mean, and they're really gorgeous clasps
Yeah,
on
it's a
the
good way to
market.
show off. Yeah, some really beautiful clasps.
Yeah, I know Nikki Epstein had a line of buttons for JHB that had really gorgeous clasps, which I have several of them in my button collection. So, yeah, I know, time to break them out. So, Kate says this is really pretty, which I agree. And this just that mix of texture and just that simple braided cable up the front.
Yep.
It's
And
just
it's all worsted. I know Shannon's asking. Everything in the book is the same yarn. Everything is worsted. So,
yeah. So this is not a big commitment time wise
or yarn wise,
or yarn
no
wise.
sleeves, no giant annoying button band. Yeah, doesn't take a ton of yarn.
No, because this actually is the bands on the front is knitted in as you're knitting up. So
Yep.
there's no picking up and then knitting a button band and trying to get the gauge right and making sure your buttons are spaced evenly. Yeah. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Yeah, Shannon says it's great. She loves it. And I love this too. And I can't wear anything up close to my neck because I'm claustrophobic and it freaks me out. Otherwise, I would totally be making this sweater.
Yeah, the neck is really pretty. It's hard to see, but it's lace. The pullover cowl part is lace, and it's just a simple kind of classic design. That's another thing. I wanted everything to be classic, so you could wear it for 10, 15 years, whatever, and not say like, oh, that's circa 2015, that design. So if you're gonna commit the time and the money and the yarn, you should keep it around for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Angela says she loves the short sleeves with the cowl neck, which is not something you see very often
Yeah.
or ever, actually, now I'm thinking about it. And it's just, I don't know, I love the edging around the sleeves. And I mean, it's a really sharp design. This is something that you would be proud to wear and people compliment you on it, not think that you made it yourself. Yeah, Kate says it's beautiful. She needs it for summer. Well, hopefully you'll win a book today, Kate. And if not, of course, we'll be giving away one on Facebook, on Planet Pearl's Facebook page starting tomorrow. So you get two chances to win. So because you need that sweater, Kate, you need it.
And especially if you work in a really cold, air-conditioned office, your neck is always cold.
Yeah.
So,
Especially if you sit near a vent and it just blows
yeah,
down your neck all
I
day.
had on
So
an event when I worked at Vogue Knitting. Yeah, that was not fun.
no, it's never. It's if you feel like somebody's blowing on you all the time. It's just not good. So yeah, Kate says that if she doesn't win, this book is on her list now. So is really. I mean, there's such an array of projects in this book. I mean, everything from small projects that if you just want something you can carry in your bag with you so that while you're commuting or at the doctor's office or whatever, waiting for your kids to get out of school if it's your carpool day, but to like, full size sweater projects. So it's really a great selection of cool things to knit depending on your knitting mood.
And nothing is fussy. I hate fussy knitting. I want it to be fun and enjoyable. And you have the same problem I do. We rarely get to knit for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I want it to be something I really love. And I don't want to spend 10 hours doing finishing work. So non-fussy, fun, kind of interesting knits.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we all prefer to knit, So it's there's something, there's a place for knitting things just because maybe there really isn't. We just of things that are really gorgeous, but you'll never wear. And we had Amy Herzog here a couple weeks ago to talk about Knitwear Love, her follow up of Knit to Flatter, and she asks questions. You do have a questionnaire in the book, and to help you decide really what you want to knit and what your style is. In and one of the questions is, well, what am I going to wear this with? And if I'd asked myself that question before I knit those projects where it was like, oh, this is a really cool pattern, I think I'm just going to knit it. I wouldn't have knit them. They're turtlenecks. I don't wear turtlenecks. It's like, what do I going to wear this with? Nothing. I'll never wear this. So I think there's a place for that, but it's really not in the everyday knitter category.
Yeah,
So
and sometimes you need something crazy to learn a technique, but at some point you don't need to really do that anymore. And yeah, it's more about
no. And if you
fun.
want to learn the technique, knit a cowl.
Yeah, I had a
Right.
swatch.
Knit a
But
swatch, but don't knit a sweater. So yeah, and so Kate says she loves this gold color, and I do too. It just really, um,
it
I,
shows off the texture quite
it,
nice.
it really does. And this is just an interesting kind of grouping of different cables, and I love that the cable goes up the outside of the sleeve
Yeah,
as
I do
well.
that a lot. This is not my design, but I do that a lot in my stuff because yeah, you want it to carry over and be part of the design. And again, a cardigan, 3/4, love that.
Yeah, I love 3/4 length sleeves. I think they're just first of all, if you like bracelets, it's nice because it shows them off. But also if you layer something underneath it, then you get that shift of color on your arms as well. It's pretty. So yeah, Shannon says great patterns, even on the button band. You know, I think that's so clever where the buttons fit in the inside of the cable and really, really, really pretty. And yeah, Angela says she does 3/4 length sleeves all the time. She changes her patterns up.
You do. Well, and the same can be said for reverse. If you really love the sweater and you think, well, I don't like 3/4 sleeves, because not everyone does, you can just extend them.
Yeah.
You can always modify, I often lengthen the torso and shorten the sleeves, so you don't always have to do what the pattern says.
No, you don't. It's in your control, which is a good thing. We love that. So, really nice, nice book. Really, really nice book, Tanis, which of course I'd be surprised if it were otherwise. But I suspect there's got to be something else, some other book like
Of
at the
course.
printers now or on its way for technical editing or I know you got something else coming.
Yeah, there's a baby book that is almost done. Um, and that's all like really yarn snobby yarns, really nice, different, fun, very modern, non-fussy baby knits. There's not like baubles and ruffles, and especially having a kid and a boy, it's just not, I don't know, I don't think it's practical. So I'm always looking for that functional, practical, fun to knit kind of thing. And sewing a lot, that's what I do when you're sleeping. I'm sewing and making a lot of baskets lately. I don't know if you saw my blog post from yesterday.
Oh God. Because you need another hobby.
Well, it's not really a hobby, it's for teacher gifts, and then they're just really fun to make. So now I'm just making a lot of baskets.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I'm going to leave on Saturday. I'm really excited.
oh God. So if you want to try to keep up with Tanis, because nobody keeps up with Tanis, but if you want to try to keep up with Tanis, there are places where you can do that and you can see what the heck she's up to. And so the first one is at tanisknits.com where you can see Tanis's patterns actually, and Tanis has some free patterns. And I think do you have the from because you did an Olympic sweater for the Olympics last
I did.
year,
Yep, the actual hand knit Olympic sweater. Yeah, that was fun.
yeah, so I remember I think you had just done that when you last time you were here, but so there's Tanis has some free patterns as well, so you
Lots of
can check that out. And then as you were saying, you so while the rest of us are sleeping here on the East Coast, and so Tanis has a shop on Etsy where you can see her project bags that she's done for knitters in just absolutely the cutest fabrics
yeah,
ever.
I like to buy. too. So this is more of an excuse because, my husband's like, "Do you really need more fabric and yarn?" So now I can say, "Yes, I do." So,
Yeah, because it's like it's for work.
yes,
Exactly. It
exactly.
doesn't count if it's for work. So, yeah, I'm lucky. I'm married to a man who actually buys me yarn.
Ooh,
So, yeah, he's a keeper. So, yeah, Shannon says she enjoys seeing you on Knitting Daily, which,
yep, knitting daily is fun. Yeah.
yeah, my local station is not getting right now for some reason. So I haven't seen it for a
Different
while.
everywhere. Yeah, PBS is weird. You can watch it digitally on Interweave because I know
Oh,
some people. Yeah.
that's good to know. I did not realize that. So, and then for those who are on Ravelry, you can browse 8 pages of Tanis's
Imagine when you put your voice back.
8 pages of. I know. Don't you? I feel tired just thinking about this. So yeah, and actually Shannon says that your bags are adorable. She thought it was great fabric. So Angela's husband watches Knitting Daily with her on the weekend. He's a keeper.
Yeah, good.
Right? He is a keeper because that, I mean, that's a man that knows how to keep his woman happy.
Yeah, if
So,
you're married to a
and
crafter, you gotta adjust your lifestyle. It's only fair.
I learned how to play golf for my husband, and I told him I thought he needed to learn how to knit for me, but
That only seems like a fair trade-off.
yeah, he's not up for it. But anyway, so you can check out and oddly, it's a designer and it's Tanis Gray. So in case you were wondering just where that might be. And Tanis, I love this is great. Tanis is on Instagram and oh my God, here's your baskets. Did I just see baskets?
Yeah, actually, I got them right here because I'm packing up them for preschool. So just like little made out of clothesline and then dip dyed. How cool is that?
Oh my gosh.
It's
So
fun. They're good
yeah, they're
gifts.
adorable. They're adorable. So yes, so that you can keep up with Tanis on Instagram and then also on Twitter, you can see in 141 characters or less, whatever it is, you can see what Tanis is up to. And I love this. Why are there not 400 hours in a day? Yeah, sorry, Tanis. We all get 24. It's the great
Well,
leveler. You get 24.
just. I mean,
No, you should sleep more.
no, get rid of daylight savings and make the day longer. It totally works. People sleep too much. We just,
Okay, there you have it. From the lips of Tanis Gray, we sleep too much. So, and then Tanis, of course, she has a pattern shop on uh, on Craftsy, but also teaches on Craftsy as well. So you can take Tanis's classes there. And if you're ever lucky enough to be able to take a live class from Tanis, which I did at Vogue Knitting in New York City, God, it's got to be
I,
four,
I was pregnant.
four.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah. So it was 4 years ago that I took that class, and I took a class in two-handed Fair Isle, which was amazing. Tanis is a great teacher. And if you have the chance to take a class from Tanis Live, you should definitely sign up, whether it's at your local yarn store or whether it's at one of these big events. But the second best thing is to take a class from Tanis on Craftsy. If you,
Or Interweave. I was just filming 4 videos for Interweave. They're doing a lot more videos, which are fun.
oh, good. Oh,
Video classes
good.
are good because you could rewind them and play them over, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's good fun.
It's kind of like how YouTube has really changed the
Yeah,
world for knitting in terms of, skills, being able to, for people who learn by watching, which I do, and learn by watching and doing. It's nice because you can pause it and back up and do it until you get it right. I have to watch one on Kitchener Stitch every time I do it because I never remember the order of how things are done. But thank God for YouTube. It
I sit
fixes.
there and chant, and my husband walks by and just kind of shakes his head. Knit, drop, purl, purl, drop, knit. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like, yeah. If I'm knitting, my husband knows really not to really talk to me, especially if he'll start to talk and I'll say 12,
Yeah,
13,
right,
14.
right.
It's like,
Or I give him the death glare. I'm just like,
yeah, it's
really?
like, don't talk to me. I'm counting.
I think there's a shirt that says just one more row, and there's another one that says like, "Don't talk to me, I'm counting," or
Yeah,
something.
there should be because I mean, I think we all do it. So there are some things that you just don't want to be interrupted while you're doing. So, and then if you don't win a book today or on Facebook later this week, which I think the Facebook is up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning on what is today? Thursday, tomorrow, Friday morning. So, so you'll have over the weekend to post your favorite design that I posted up from the book, and then be entered in a random drawing for a book. But if you don't, you should of course first it's local yarn stores because we need to support them. And if they don't have it and they're obstinate about getting it, even if you ask them or you just or they're going to get it but it's going to be 6 months and you want it now, I totally understand that. Is that you can go over to Planet Pearl and click on the books page, the books link, and you can scroll down and you will see that Wanderlust is there, and you can click on that. And if you click on this link, it will take you right to the book on Amazon. And as a result of clicking on our link, my link, we get a tiny little commission, which helps us, like cover the cost to go to meeting, and so that we can continue to bring you live events with your favorite designers and authors. So the it was really great to see you again, Tanis. And you
And you,
don't look nearly as tired as you should, by the way.
thanks.
Yeah, hey, I do what I can. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing the having you back for the baby book, which is nice because you did the With Love from Mama mini book with some of your other knitting friends who also have small children.
Fun. Yeah, and you had us all together. That was a great
Yeah, and
time.
it was a Mother's Day weekend event too, which was fun because I think we had three of the four designers were online at the same time, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that because the designs in that book were beautiful as well, and then that kind of simple,
Yeah,
great looking children's clothing, which gets handed down from.
that they'll actually wear. I see too many baby things being knit and then never worn, and it's just a shame. So,
Yeah, well, they're knit more as a gift for the parents to show them what a great knitter you are,
true.
as opposed to a useful object, which useful things should be used. So it's a good thing.
Agreed.
So you're getting love in the room, and Kate says she can't wait for your baby book, which I
Yeah.
agree, and your queen's necklace is also being appreciated as well. So people in the room, don't go away. I'm about to give away a book,
Yay.
and Tanis is going to give me a random number, and some lucky person is going to get their very own copy of Wanderlust, courtesy of Interweave F&W Media. So don't go away. And for people who are watching this later on YouTube, if it's within a couple of days of the posting of the date of this event, then you should go right over to Planet Pearl's Facebook page because it is not too late to try to win a copy of your own. So thank you again. Thanks everybody for being here
Yeah,
live.
thanks for coming, everyone.
Yeah, and I'll we have I think our next event is in 2 weeks, and we have actually one of the editors at Interweave is joining us to talk about Simply Modern Lace, a best of from Interweave, some of their best lace projects from the magazine. So you don't want to miss that. So we'll see you soon, and I know we'll see you many times back, Tanis. So
I've
thanks,
got
everyone.
my title. Yes, thank you.